Where's the United States?
They are not here.
Where's the United States?
They are not here. And together, we can ensure that no one is left behind. I now say that this Gavel of this G20 Summit, formally closes this summit and now moves on to the next president of the G20, which is the United States, where we shall see each other again next year. The summit is therefore closed.
Where's the United States?
They are not here. Leaders of the G20 member states and invited countries, Secretary General of the United Nations, heads of international organizations and ministers and distinguished guests and everyone else who has played a role in making this G20 get to where it is. I wish to extend my deepest gratitude and also the gratitude of all South Africans for the steadfast support that you have all shown throughout South Africa's G20 presidency. Your commitment has been vital in reaffirming the G20 as the premier forum for international economic cooperation and also ensuring that it continues to drive progress on our most important challenges. We have met this year, in fact, the entire year. Meetings have taken place in our own country and elsewhere in the world, including at the United Nations, supporting the presidency of South Africa of the G20. And we've met in the face of significant challenges and demonstrated our ability to come together, even in the times of great difficulty, to pursue a better world. South Africa's presidency marks the first time, as we have said, that the G20 has been hosted and held on African soil. We are truly honored and humbled by that, not only as South Africans, but as Africans as a whole. Recognizing the importance of this milestone, we have sought to place Africa's growth and development interests at the heart of the G20's agenda. The greatest opportunity for prosperity in the 21st century lies in Africa. Harnessing that opportunity will require a rather strong partnership between Africa and the G20, and indeed between Africa and the rest of the world. Recognizing our interconnectedness as a global community of nations, we have called for an end to conflicts and wars around the globe and for a just and comprehensive and lasting peace. This summit has taken place at a crucial time as calls around the world grow louder for progress on the imperatives of our time, to end poverty in all its forms and ramifications, to reduce inequality within and amongst countries, and to take urgent action to combat climate change. This year, we have recognized the growing debt burden that is faced by many developing economy countries as a major obstacle to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. The G20 has pledged to extend support to low and middle-income countries as they confront debt vulnerabilities. Together, we must create a virtuous cycle of reduced debt, higher public investment, and more rapid and inclusive economic growth. When we become more successful, all of us, then the whole world becomes successful. When we began our presidency, we pledged to mobilize the G20 to strengthen disaster resilience and response. Climate-induced natural disasters spare no country. Disasters know no borders. But their toll is heaviest on those without the means to recover and to rebuild. We therefore called on G20 leaders to urge the global community to scale up post-disaster reconstruction. In this regard, South Africa introduced the high-level voluntary principles for investing in disaster risk reduction and encouraged international collaboration to strengthen investment in preventing and responding to disasters. We've made progress in mobilizing finance for a just energy transition. Climate change touches every nation, but it impacts on everyone unevenly. That is why we have together pledged to increase the quality and the quantity of climate finance to developing economies, to strengthen multilateral development banks, to support country platforms like the Just Energy Transition Partnership, and to unlock private capital. We reaffirmed our dedication to energy security, affordability and universal access, and the importance of supporting developing economies in their transition to low carbon emissions. We recognize the need for deep, rapid, and sustained reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and the need to substantially scale up investment and climate finance from all sources. During this summit, we reaffirmed our support for the G20 Critical Minerals Framework, a cooperative blueprint to ensure that critical minerals resources drive prosperity and sustainable development across the globe. Our presidency coincided with the end of the first cycle of the G20 presidencies. Following the mandate given to our presidency at the 2024 Rio de Janeiro Summit, we undertook the G20 at 20 review, drawing on the diverse perspectives of participating members and guest countries as well. It is our hope that the recommendations of the review will serve as a helpful guide for the G20 to ensure that it remains fit for purpose in an ever-changing world. In fact, the indicative report already says that the G20's existence should continue as it serves a good purpose and giving guidance to the economic well-being of the world. At the heart of our presidency lies a conviction that the G20 must act boldly and act together to create an environment of inclusive growth, an environment of reduced inequality, an environment which will support sustainable development. South Africa has used this presidency to place the priorities of Africa and the Global South firmly at the heart of the G20 agenda. Building on the developmental agenda of previous presidencies in Indonesia, in India, and Brazil, we have prioritized the issues that matter most to developing economies. And in executing our task as a G20 president, we learned a lot from what Indonesia did, what India did, and what Brazil did. So in many ways, what we see having unfolded here was based on the foundations that those three countries of the Global South put in place. The G20 South Africa Summit Leaders' Declaration is more than words. It is a commitment to concrete actions that will improve the lives of people in every part of the world. Our agreement on a declaration during this summit demonstrates the value of the G20 as a forum that can facilitate joint action on issues of shared concern. Shared concern not only for the leaders, but shared concern for the peoples of the world. More than that, it reaffirms our renewed commitment to multilateral cooperation and our recognition that our shared goals outweigh our differences. Together, we must accelerate progress towards the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and the Pact for the Future. We have laid the foundation of solidarity. Now we must build the walls of justice and the roof of prosperity. Let us move forward together, demonstrating to the world that we do have the capacity to confront and overcome the world's challenges. Through partnerships across society and by remembering our common humanity, we can create a more secure, a more just, and a more prosperous world. And together, we can ensure that no one is left behind. I now say that this Gavel of this G20 summit formally closes this summit and now moves on to the next president of the G20, which is the United States, where we shall see each other again next year. The summit is therefore closed.
Where's the United States?
They're not here.